If the government shuts down on Wednesday, you may be thinking, this doesn't impact me, but I got bad news for you. It definitely does. Before we get into the government shutdown, what it is, when the deadline is, and how it impacts you, my name is Rick. I help you turn daily news into daily profits. If that's something you're into, make sure you follow this page. So in case you haven't heard, Congress has until 12:01 a.m. on October 1st to come to an agreement on funding for the next fiscal year. Now, this isn't just as simple as Congress saying we need X number of dollars to operate next year. No, they have to get into details with what exactly they need that money for. So some politicians may say we want money for healthcare, while other politicians say we want more money for defense. But they have to come to an agreement to say, here's how much money we need, and here's how it's going to be spent. And if they can't come up with that agreement before the deadline, federal workers no longer get paid. Now, I know for a lot of people, you may be thinking, well, good, we don't need politicians anyways, but this actually does have an impact on you. You see, the people that are in charge of monetary policy, the Federal Reserve, rely on information brought to them by the government in order to make the decisions on what to do with the interest rates. And some of that information that they rely on is by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who came out and said that if the government shuts down on Wednesday, they're not going to deliver a report on Friday. And the jobs numbers are one of the most important reports that the Federal Reserve has to rely on to know what exactly to do with our monetary policy. You see, if the jobs numbers come out and they're better than expected, the Federal Reserve knows that they should either keep interest rates the same or potentially raise them. However, on the flip side, if the jobs numbers are weak, they know that either we keep these interest rates the same or we start cutting them again. And all of this is happening as credit card debt just reached another all-time high in the United States. So while there's talk of a possible government shutdown, just know it definitely has an impact on you.
We're just a few hours away from a government shutdown. So what can you expect if it actually happens this time? And it looks like it will. First, you have to understand that a government shutdown is not random. It's scheduled. And if it happens, it doesn't mean the U.S. government is broke, and it doesn't mean the U.S. government has no money. The U.S. government has plenty of money. If the government shuts down, it means Congress has failed to do the one job that it has. See, the U.S. government runs on a fiscal calendar from October 1st through September 30th. And every single year, it is Congress's job to find a way to fund the government before the fiscal year ends. That means it's Congress's job to figure out how much money each department and agency will get in their budget and figure out which priorities will and will not be funded. And if September 30th comes around and there is no spending plan approved by both the House and the Senate and signed by the president, no government agencies or departments get their budget allotment, so they don't have money to operate. Then they have to close, and ultimately the government shuts down. And tomorrow is September 30th. And we are not even in the ballpark of a deal to keep the government open. Okay, so now that you know how government shutdowns happen, let's talk about what happens when the government shuts down. During a shutdown, the federal government must stop all non-essential functions until Congress passes a spending bill. Each agency and department determines what work is essential and what is not. And in this Trump administration, the executive branch also has a big say. The federal workers who are considered non-essential will be furloughed, and agencies and departments that are considered non-essential will close. Now, instead of running down a list of what is considered non-essential and will be shutting down, because it's a pretty long list, it's actually much easier to tell you what is considered essential and will be staying open. So Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, military operations, law enforcement, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and Air Traffic Control. All those departments will stay open. However, depending on how long the shutdown lasts, the people who work at those departments and agencies may have to go to work without pay. The longer the shutdown lasts, the worse things get. Almost immediately after a government shutdown, the national parks will close. So if you have a trip planned to see one of our beautiful national parks in the next week or so, you may want to reschedule. And if the shutdown lasts more than a few days, passport processing could slow down or stop. Federal courts, including immigration courts, could start postponing or canceling hearings. And some federal government contractors may not get paid. Now, your payments from Social Security, Disability, Medicare, Medicaid, those will all still be processed and the post office will stay open. However, some of the federal employees who work at those places are considered non-essential. So if you are looking to get help at those places, or you want to perhaps process a new disability or Social Security claim, or if you have questions about your existing benefits, getting those answers will become more difficult the longer the shutdown lasts. The White House used to keep a department by department list of shutdown plans, but now this Trump administration says each agency and department will post their own shutdown plans, which I will email as many of them to you as I can in tonight's Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign yourself up. The last time the U.S. government shut down was in 2018 and 2019 during the first Trump administration. Back then, the government shut down for 35 days. That was the longest shutdown in 40 years. The standoff in Congress back then was over Trump's demand for almost $6 billion to fund his border wall project. Lawmakers in the House and the Senate fought over that money for 35 days. But the shutdown actually costs the American economy billions of dollars. And after 5 weeks, then President Trump, during his first term, ultimately signed a spending plan that did not include the funding for his border wall. Now, these days, the issues between Democrats and Republicans are much different. But in the end, Republicans right now control the House, the Senate, and the White House. So it is on them to keep the government open. And because of the rules of the Senate, coming up with a funding plan must be negotiated with Democrats because Republicans do not have the 60 votes necessary to pass the types of spending plans that President Trump wants on their own. We are just a few hours away from a government shutdown. So what can you expect if it actually happens this time? And it looks like it will. First, you have to understand that a government shutdown is not random. It's scheduled. And if it happens, it doesn't mean the U.S. government is broke, and it doesn't mean the U.S. government has no money. The U.S. government has plenty of money. If the government shuts down, it means Congress has failed to do the one job that it has. See, the U.S. government runs on a fiscal calendar from October 1st through September 30th. And every single year, it is Congress's job to find a way to fund the government before the fiscal year ends. That means it's Congress's job to figure out how much money each department and agency will get in their budget and figure out which priorities will and will not be funded.
Hi guys, this is Tina and you're welcome back to the channel. So America faces a shutdown. Republicans and Democrats are locked in battle and now the government could stop working. Why? And what does it mean for ordinary Americans? Well, let's find out from people's reaction.
Okay, so here's the number that we all need to know. Every week the government shut down, the economy loses about $7 billion. Now that's not Washington's money, that's your money. That's your jobs. That's your services on the line. And while the economy bleeds, President Trump is preparing mass layoffs, not just furloughs. That means hundreds of thousands of federal workers could lose not only their paychecks, but their jobs. This isn't a budget dispute anymore. This is a power play. So here's what Democrats should demand if they want to fight back for the people. One is to protect healthcare, because without extending ACA premium credits, millions of families will see their health insurance skyrocket overnight. Number two would be protect workers. Trump wants to turn the temporary shutdown into permanent firings. Democrats must guarantee no layoffs, period. Number three, keep essential services running. TSA, FDA inspections, disaster relief, flood insurance. These can't be bargaining chips. Number four, put guardrails on presidential power. Right now, Trump gets to pick and choose what stays open. That's too much power in one man's hands. Congress must set limits. Number five, they need to guarantee worker relief. Back pay is too little too late. Workers need emergency funds to cover rent, groceries, and bills during this shutdown. And lastly, number six, in this hostage game once and for all, pass a rule that if Congress can't agree, the government automatically keeps running for 90 days. No more shutdowns as a weapon. Family, every one of these demands ties back to one principle. The government should serve the people, not the president's agenda. So I'll leave you with this. If $7 billion a week could vanish just because of politics, ask yourself, who's really paying the price for this shutdown?
We all have to get behind the Democrats calling for a shutdown. And Trump supporters, I am talking to you too. We need the Affordable Care Act subsidies to become permanent. And over 50 conservative groups are urging Trump to let them expire. And let me tell you, this is one example of the math. A couple who are 55 years old, collectively bringing in $85,000 a year, currently pay, on average, in healthcare premiums, $7,500 a year. If these Affordable Care Act subsidies expire, their premium, are you listening to me, Trump supporters? Their premium jumps to $24,000 a year. So while the billionaire class continues to become ungodly wealthy under this administration, private healthcare insurers and all of their executives are going to make a shit ton of money because they'll get to charge you another $17,000 a year. Just a couple making $85,000 a year. A lot of us don't make that much. Who can afford to have 25% of their income go to healthcare premiums? We're just going to become uninsured. No one's going to be able to afford that. Are you ready for this, Trump supporters? Instead of owning the libs, can we not all get together and agree this is really, really, really bad and it's okay to jump sides one issue at a time? Can you do that to save yourselves? Please.
So guys, this isn't just politics, it's paycheck, food aid, travel and daily life. Until leaders agree, Americans are the ones who will suffer and suffer real good. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Do well to like, share and of course subscribe to support the channel. Till next time, bye!